Cocoon Spawn Girls, Chapter 17. I ran after Tiki, trying to keep up pace with everyone. We could see so much destruction around us, and yet I still hadn't even heard a sound of what could be the spawn we were hunting. "Sophia!" King called over to me as Clarice carried him on her arm as she jogged a little ahead of me. "This threat might be a little more than you're fully prepared to head into battle with. Please don't think you're fighting alone. I mean to say, you can leave the big hits to the geniuses like me. Please just focus on setting things up for my greater glory." And not acknowledging his request. In a sense, it's his own way of looking out for me. I'm a melee fighter, so I admit I'll be a little in the way of plenty of King's attacks, so I'll keep that in mind when we fight. We continued down the road, still passing crushed cars and smoking buildings, yet I still can't spot the spawn yet. It also begins to occur to me I'm not seeing any bodies or pools of blood, suggesting a torn-up corpse had once been there. Maybe this spawn was doing more damage to property rather than hunting down individuals? That didn't really make sense to me. But what else could it be? Surely the spawn wasn't eating them that cleanly. A large, towering, bent-over brownness of mass, 3 times my height at least, comes into view down the next road. It seems to be stomping along, rocking side to side, knocking into everything as it goes. "There's our target, girls!" Tiki shouts, dashing forward towards it. Clarice leans forward as she picks up speed following after. Marzia stayed behind me, matching my running pace. It seems she didn't want me to split up from the group alone. I appreciate that. The brown mass seems to notice us coming towards it. As it turns, its human-like face becomes visible. Surrounded by such a large amount of brownish hanging mass overflowing from its body, a regular human face just is stretched out horizontally in a creepy-looking way. The mouth seems to curl in an amused smile as it prepares for us. It begins taking large steps towards us when a screech catches its attention. "Help!" Tiki's eyes scan the ground and lock on to a girl who looked to be trapped by her leg by some building rubble. She had these large orange hair and puffy tails lying across the ground, her outfit torn up. She was jerking forward, trying to pull her leg free from the rubble to no avail. Tiki and the spawn's course turned as they both now headed towards the girl. But the spawn was already so close to her, I wasn't sure if Tiki was going to make it in time. That's when flames burst from Tiki's heels as she propelled herself forward, slightly adding a bounce to her step, launching her just far enough to grab onto the girl. She swung herself around, grabbing onto the trapped girl's arm, raising her other arm, launching a fiery blast upward at the upcoming large brown foot crashing down at them. The spawn, hit with these burning flames, seemed to be knocked off balance as it fell backwards. Clarice took no time whatsoever with her own attack, adding gravity to marbles behind the spawn, making sure it fell backwards, away from the trapped bystander. Marzia and I made it to the fallen spawn. I clenched my gloves tightly, then as I grinned excitedly to really begin getting to fight a spawn at last, Fool's Night appeared around me. We launched forward, slamming a fist against the spawn's large stomach. Flesh rippled out around the impact area, but at its large size, my first punch just wasn't enough to break through its skin. "Again, my lady," Fool's Night shouted. My other fist, clenched, shot forward as I twisted my body back, another strike smacking against its flesh. A pained sound caught my ear. Had it come from the spawn? I turned towards the sound, and froze as I looked at Tiki standing over the rubble she had just overturned. Her arm was gone. The bystander sat cross-legged directly in front of her, and Tiki's arm was oddly placed in her mouth. Nothing I was seeing was making any sense. How did the spawn attack Tiki when Clarice and I had it trapped to the ground this whole time? Blood poured out from just above where Tiki's elbow had been. She had wrapped the wound with her other hand and some of her bandages. The rescued girl went from sitting in front of Tiki to suddenly flying in some building rubble as Marzia appeared on top of her. Marzia's legs were shifted with fur covering them. This must be part of her power. I had never seen it before, so it was just as new as whatever was going on. It was just an overload of information. "Focus, Sophia!" King commanded in a harsh tone as Clarice launched another marble. With a shaking hand, I pointed toward Marzia, who was pounding her fists into that bystander. King seemingly furious as he shouted again, "That girl was a spawn! We were tricked! But that doesn't mean we can't let them throw us off our game!" "A spawn? But she looks exactly like a girl. Spawn are supposed to look wrong. They're poor mutations. That's just a girl, isn't it?" Clarice shook her hood off. Marcia is dealing with it, Sophie. Now let's finish this thing off so we can all turn our attention to whatever that beastie truly is. I've never noticed how pretty Clarissa's eyes are.
Focus, Sophia!
They both shout again in unison. Fool's Night takes control again. We leap into the air, launching onto the chest, standing over its stretched face. Fool's Night clenches his gauntlet with incredible speed, tearing right past the right eyeball, landing forearm deep inside the Spawn's eye socket. The Spawn's mouth opens wide, letting out a horrifying, childlike cry. Marbles rain downward, bouncing down its throat. There are liquid squishing sounds as gravity sharply shifts inside the Spawn. Clarice lets out a chuckle of satisfaction, and then I'm covered in puked-up blood as I'm sent flying backwards by the pressure of the blood, tearing the right eyeball along with me. Spawn is now rocking violently again, rolling into buildings as it thrashes as it dies. I wipe blood out of my eyes as I climb back to my feet. I feel slightly annoyed to see Clarice and Kay are completely clean after their attack got me so drenched. We scan for any civilians who might be around and could end up getting hurt, but it seems like the area is devoid of anyone else but the Spawn and us coven-bred guardians. The large brown Spawn takes its last bloody, choking coughs, blood pooling in its still open mouth, drowning it. I feel the situation is adequately taken care of, and so I rush back off towards Tiki, where she's lying against some rubble. I reach her side and kneel down beside her, making all kinds of panic motions to convey my concern. She's bandaged her arm up pretty well. Conveniently, her body's already covered in bandages she can remove and reposition to keep her pressure on her wounds. Tiki gives me a pained expression. Sorry to worry you, kid. I cauterized the wound. Hurts like hell, but hey, bleeding stopped. I can't help wrapping my arm around her neck as tears rush into my eyelids, dripping out of my eyes onto her. Hey, don't get so moody yet. Make sure Marcia's finished off the other one before we have a heartfelt moment. I wipe tears from my eyes as I nod slowly. I don't run as I approach where Marcia is leaned over. She isn't punching anymore, so I figure the fight was over. I reach her, and that's when I see the Spawn Girl is anything but defeated. Her eyes turn from Marcia to mine, and a smile curls onto her face. I grab onto Marcia's shoulder and pull her to look at me. Her eyes meet mine as well. She looks perfectly fine, which confuses me more. She straightens up, standing up straight. Hey, Soph. You mind giving us another few minutes? Kinda discussing something. I just need another few, okay? I'm dumbfounded. I swing my arm out as my face squishes up in the most "what the hell" I can possibly do. I point at the orange-haired girl, thrusting my pointer at which is clearly a finger poking out from her lip that she's chewing on. Marcia follows my finger, then turns back to me. Her? She's Aurelia. Don't worry about it. Just give me a second, okay? At this point, I'm pulling out my whiteboard. Clearly this Aurelia girl isn't attacking, so I can give Marcia a piece of my mind. What the hell, Marcia? This girl is a Spawn! Marcia grits her teeth and sighs. So we're doing this, huh? Well, I mean, actually she's a magical girl, or at least was. You are not making any sense, I carve into my board. I'm sorry, Soph. I just need you to trust me. She was telling me some stuff, and it was making sense, so... There was a sudden loud screeching sound from somewhere far away. The girl, Aurelia, reacted to the sound by beginning to climb to her feet. The big guns are coming. I need to get going. I try to stop her, but Marcia steps out in front of me, facing her. Now hold on. We're not done talking, and... Look, come or don't. There's no immediate rush. Just think about what I told you, she responds. Marcia moves back, stepping out of her way. Aurelia begins to walk forward to leave, but I'm not letting her get away that easy. Fool's Night envelops me as I swing a right hook directly into the center of her face. She's knocked right back down into the debris, her nose all crooked as she lays there. I let out a silent, victorious chuckle as I stand over her. Marcia looks pained as she looks at the two of us, but she doesn't move to do anything. My victorious spirit stops as I watch Aurelia's nose slowly correct itself, her eyes opening and staring daggers at me. She coughs. Soph, right? You're not just mute. You're clearly blind, too. I launch my foot at her, ready to stomp her face into the rubble, but her lips part before my foot connects, and with a smile, she says to me, Don't you see the moon is looking right at you? Those words. Something about them. My foot stops and it returns to the ground. I begin to feel shivers all over my body, and I begin to cough as the feeling of panic and dread flows over me. It's daylight. The moon's not even out. Yet I know it's floating in space right now looking at me. It sees me. It can see me, and it's taken notice of me. I drop to my knee as my head pounds out of my chest. I see you, a voice whispers inside my head. No one is there, and yet I can hear it. I can hear the moon. I grip my chest tightly. It feels like I'm choking. My throat is closing up. Stop it! Stop looking! I need to hide. I need to find somewhere the moon can't see me. My hands are shaking as I pull myself forward. I've lost all my strength as I fight to even move just an inch forward towards some rubble to hide beneath. Marcy and Aurelia look down at me. They just watch as my mind unravels beneath the moon's view. Of course, Clarice has noticed us by now. She and Tiki are racing towards us. They're calling out something I can't make out anymore. I make it to the rubble and I collapse from seeming exhaustion. The moment I'm beneath the rubble, I can feel some presence leave me. Like a million eyes are suddenly off of me, and I'm once again truly alone. Your power's really something, Marcy exhales. Aurelia grins a broken, toothy smile as the teeth set themselves back up like white dominoes. Your friend is quite the insane punch herself. Catching her by surprise is all that kept me from being a fleshy puddle, probably. What is going on, Marcia? Tiki shouts as she arrives with Clarice. Marcia looks over at Aurelia. How long do you have? They'll probably be here, probably within 5 minutes. I really gotta get going. Sorry, she responds. Marcia took a step forward, placing herself between Aurelia and the others. Way to go, guys! We beat the spawn! Let's see if Gretchen will let us get some ice cream to celebrate! Clarice thrusts King forward, hovering in front of Marcia's face. You can't really expect we're going to ignore the girl after she took Tiki's arm, can you? I kinda hoped you would, Marcia sighed. We killed that giant spawn! It's a great enough dose for all 4 of us for months. Meanwhile, Tiki's arms probably gave Aurelia a handful of days. I just hoped we could call it even in our favor. I regain enough strength to rejoin the conversation, although I put distance between myself and the odd girl. Tiki scoffs. So that's what she is. Not even a proper spawn, just some throwaway stray who's eating other magical girls to get her fill? Pathetic. Tiki spits at her. I've never seen her do something that rude before. I was surprised. Stray? Aurelia tilts her head back. Yeah, that's about right. Like a stray kitty, no matter where I go, there's no real place for me. I could feel heat emanating off of Tiki. Bet you tried real hard to adjust to new lives like ours. Not some flake who turned on MGI the second things got tough, I'm sure. Aurelia chuckled at her rudeness. Oh, you bet I did. Harder than any of you, I can tell you that much. You know what I had that made me much more of a magical girl than you could ever be? She leaned in, getting insanely close to Tiki's face. Love. Tiki spit her boiling hot saliva right at Aurelia's face. As she pulled back, I could see the splotched burn forming on Aurelia's forehead. Yeah, I'm sure someone who betrayed MGI really loved being a magical girl. What a pointless, pathetic lie to even utter. Aurelia let out a coughing chuckle. Man, all you can ever picture when you hear love is the love of a job. Maybe you're more of a kid than I even imagined. Sorry, Tiger. I'm speaking of romantic love. There was a colliding clink sound that took my attention away towards the ground. Marcia had just kicked some marbles past Clarice. It didn't take me even a second to recognize them as Clarice's marbles. Had she been trying to covertly roll marbles towards Aurelia and Marcia had stopped her? Why was Marcia protecting this girl? Looking back up, Marcia had claws coming out of her fingers, tapping the side of her face as she glanced at Clarice. Was Marcia seriously going to fight to stop us from fighting the Spawn Girl? Tiki swung her remaining hand up in the air suddenly. Fine, I'll bite. What tragic love did you lose? Losing a girlfriend from your previous life? Huh? Think you're unique in that way? Aurelia grinned. A boy, actually. I loved him as we attended school together, but he was much too busy to be interested in girls. Well, when I suddenly became a magical girl, Aurelia stopped. Her eyes darted to look upward towards some still-standing buildings. Shoot, they're here. She grabbed Marcia's shoulder. I'm out. Think about what Marcia gripped her arm back. I've decided. I'm coming. Aurelia chuckled. Then let's blow this popsicle stand before your teammates see what real magical girls do to their enemies. Clarice lunged at Marcia. Hold on! A shout echoed from the rooftops above us. Have no fear! Magical aces are here! I look up and see 3 magical girls leaping down towards us, floating. That was the large group whose turf this was. I knew we'd beat them here, but they sure took long enough getting back. I'm sorry. A whisper in my ear. I turned my attention back to those in front of me after being distracted by the newcomers heading towards us. Marcia's claws and furry legs blew past me, running on all fours. Aurelia leaped forward, following after her. Not so fast! Clarice threw 3 marbles at Aurelia. The marbles soared towards her before her lips parted. The moon, it sees you. Look! And all at once the marbles dropped to the ground as Clarice began shaking her head. King, seeming to be in control of her hand, leapt onto her head and began rubbing it. Nasty trick! 1 moment! The magical aces landed in front of us, scanning us, trying to figure out where the spawn was. Tiki dropped to her knee and collapsed. Her sheer will had been all that was keeping her standing, and now certain the fight was over, she had let herself rest. Clarice shook her head as she seemingly recovered from the moon spell, looking around for Marcia, but seeing it was all too late. I wasn't able to do anything either. Still regaining my strength, all I could do was watch as Marcia ran, and ask myself, why? Why had she seemingly abandoned the team? And for a spawn? What could she have possibly told Marcia to make her betray us? Betray me? I thought she and I had become partners in a way. And now I don't know what she thought of me. Magical Ace did not chase after them, instead choosing to tend to us and help get us situated as they waited for medical support to arrive. And so ended my first time getting to fight. What a painful memory this will surely become. End of chapter 17.